Welcome to Easy Quilting Joseph's Coat template. I'm Jennie Rayment. The template I have in front of me is an absolutely super template for using up all your scraps. You could make a memory quilt. You could use up scraps of the children's clothes. You could use up scraps you buy from the charity shop. You could use up scraps of dressmaking fabric, bits of old curtain. It's an ideal template for making a quilt of multicolours. As you can see, I have behind me an unfinished section of Joseph's coat. The quilt itself is made out of ovals and these shaped sections. Very simple to put together, and you get all of the pieces in the template pack. Here is the template pack, and if you turn it over, there are instructions as to how you put the Joseph's coat templates together. Maybe you want to make an entire quilt, or maybe you just want to make a table runner. The pattern is cut out like this. Take template number B. This will make the centres of the Joseph's coat. I've used calico, as you can see on the quilt behind me, but any fabric could be used. Cut yourself a random strip of fabric. It just needs to be a little bit bigger than the total width of the template. Probably easiest to cut these out one at a time because that is the most user-friendly way of cutting the fabric. This template can be cut round with the 45mm cutter, or indeed it can be cut round with the 28mm cutter. It is not difficult to cut out the shape. If you prefer, you could draw round the template and then cut it out. But I cut up one side, cut along the edge, cut across the top of it, there, right across the top of the template, turn the fabric round again, replace the template, aligning it with the various lines, cut up the next side, cut across the top, turn the fabric round and make the final cut. Now I'm going to show you how to put together 6 sections to make sort of one of the wheels, so to speak, of the Joseph's coat. If you take that section for the middle section, and then you want to use the A template to make the ovals. And here is where all your scraps can be used up. Scraps of fabric, you can put them together, you can multi-cut. Place the template on the top, cut up the side of the template, cut round the edge there, off the end of my scraps, turn the template round completely, replace the template, making sure the edge is absolutely aligned, and cut right round there. Really easy to cut round with a rotary cutter. How you put the block together is take one of these pieces, fold the piece in half and make a small nick with your scissors right in the very centre. Do exactly the same with one side of this block, fold it in half, little nick right in the very middle. Taking the oval section, that will go underneath. This one goes on the top. Line up the little nick. Put one of those lovely flower pins, the Easy Quilting flower pins, in with the pin head sticking out on the edge. Bend this section round so it's exactly flush with the end of the oval, and another pin. Repeat on the other side. Bend it round again, making sure that's absolutely flush. Put another pin in, pin head sticking out on the edge of the arc because it makes life so much easier to take the pins out. Ease the fabric so it lines up beautifully. 2 more pins, one there and one over here. Once you've done that, you can sew round the arced edge. You can sew round the arced edge by hand, or you can stitch round the arced edge on the machine. I tend to use the machine. Sew round using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you're doing it by hand, I do a couple of running stitches and a back stitch, but all the way round. Once you've done that, you need to repeat the operation 5 more times, so you'll end up with 6 pieces the same. And how the basic section that makes up the Joseph's coat quilt goes is you will take these 6, lay them out so they form a wheel, sew the wheel together in exactly the same way, so join that piece to that one, that to that, that to that, and join the whole lot together to make a nice neat circle. And it's going to look something like this when you've done. At that stage now, you can add the remaining little melons that go here, And again, exactly the same technique. Mark the center of that, make a little nick, line it up with that and put one in there and one there and one there, all the way around. Stitch them in place. When you've completed the design, it's going to look something like this little one. And here we have a finished middle. And your only problem is the center. But they've thought of this because in the templates you get the middle. This is but a circle that goes in the center there. If you find that you need perhaps a bigger circle, then of course one of the easy quilting yo-yo templates or one of the easy quilting sets of circles could give you options, because you might find that if your stitching is not quite right, a bigger circle might be useful. What I did and would recommend is that you cut out circles of card. And I in fact drew round one of these circles on here to make my circles of card. Drew round the circle, cut it out, cut myself a bit of fabric using the template and gathered the fabric over the card. Small running stitch. This can be applied to the center of the Josie's Coat template, and the card can be extracted when you've sewn it in place by pulling it out through the back. If you go on and play with it, you could put 3 units together and you would get a really nice table mat. You could go on and keep on playing with it and you get the beginnings of a quilt. And this could be a quilt with all the memories of clothes the children had, clothes that you've had, scraps of fabric you've found, your favourite pieces from your stash. Josie's Coat template gives you a truly wonderful range of things that you can do with scraps of fabric.